Logically speaking, the scriptures were written way before 1948. Therefore, in reference to Israel was always in reference to Ethiopia, known as Zion or Zoan or Zan, Abyssinia. It was the Greeks who named it Ethiopia, and it was the Greeks who named it Cush. And hence they wanted you to think that the curse of Cush, or the curse of Canaan, or the curse of Ham is in reference to Ethiopia. No, Ethiopia is a land of Shem. Hence they've been changing up all the ordinances, changing up time, changing up everything. Yet still they cannot stop prophecy. So let's read who's the King of Kings. In the Testament of Benjamin. Remember, only if you're from the tribe of Judah will you be considered a Jew. A Benjamite is not a Jew, but a Benjamite is an Israelite. A Levite is not a Jew, but a Levite is an Israelite. A Josephite is not a Jew, he's an Israelite. Hence, we should all call ourselves Israelites and not in reference to one of his sons. So who is the King of Kings? Then shall we also rise, each one over our tribe, worshiping the King of heaven, who appeared upon earth in the form of a man in humility. And as many as believe on him on the earth shall rejoice with him. Then also all men shall rise, some unto glory and some unto shame. And the Lord shall judge Israel first for their unrighteousness. For when he appeared as God in the flesh to deliver them, they believed him not. Why? Because they have a church, they're having you worship idols and paintings. Then shall he judge all the Gentiles, because it's the Gentiles, also known as the heathens, who brought that church to Ethiopia. Then shall he judge all the Gentiles, as many as believe him not when he appeared on earth. Hence you're looking at the King of Kings, Lord of Lords. And who is he? You are standing in the house of Jehovah in the courtyards of our God. Praise Jah, for Jehovah is good. Make melody to his name, for it is pleasant. For Jah has chosen even Jacob for himself, Israel for his special property. And who is he? The King of Zion. So, O Lord, who bearest rule, thou spokest at the beginning, when thou didst plant the earth, and that thyself alone, and commandest the people, and gavest a body unto Adam without soul, which was the workmanship of thy hands. And thou didst breathe into him the breath of life, and he was made living before thee. In other words, in the beginning was Zion, and that's where Adam is from. So let's read, where's Zion? And first of all, notice the Kebra Nagus was published in England from a Scottish guy named James Bruce. Hence, he's part of the United Kingdom. I mean, Great Britain. And if you don't know, Rome controlled Britain for over 400 years. Therefore, Britain became part of Rome. So who abandoned Ethiopia?
England and France abandoned Ethiopia to Mussolini, created a strong, centralized monarchy. The country, with its 22 million people, revolves around his personal rule. You are descended, Your Imperial Majesty, from King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba.
You see, Ethiopia became a Coptic state 500 years ago, right? So for 500 years, they've been following the Egyptians, the Syrians, the Romans, the Greeks. Why? Because the church took over the country. So his nation became a Coptic nation prior to his coronation. Therefore, millions of people are following the church. Let's listen again.
Begun to westernize the 2,000-year-old Coptic Christian Ethiopia. He created a strong, centralized monarchy. The country, with its 22 million people.
The country has over 122 million people, and the country began in 5500 BCE, which is over 4,000 years before Rome, because Rome began less than 2,100 years ago. And it was Julius Caesar who changed time by making the day start in the middle of the night. Hence, when Ethiopia calendar began, day started at sunrise and night started at sunset. But he made the new day start in the middle of the night. He also made last first when he made the Sabbath day, the seventh day, the first day on his calendar. Therefore, Ehud in Ethiopia is the seventh day and it lands on Sunday. But Sunday is the first day on the Roman calendar. So it was the Coptic Egyptian Greco-Roman church that brought their pagan Roman calendar to Ethiopia, even though Ethiopia predates it by thousands of years. So what does it say? The Ethiopian calendar has its origins in the ancient Coptic calendar, which was used by the Coptic Orthodox Church. The Coptic calendar itself was derived from the Julian calendar used during the Roman Empire, which is more proof that pagans came to Ethiopia and changed the times, and God do not like that. So let's watch what they're doing.
As a Muslim, as Uthman standing here, I'm telling you, to me, if you come and tell me that the basis of your religion is that God put himself, that he impregnated a woman named Mary, and she became then his mother. He impregnated his mother and came into the womb of Mary and then was born out of a vagina. To me, the conversation's over. Your religion, to me, has no appeal, because to me that's just disgusting and doesn't make sense.
Right, it doesn't make sense. Just like a Muslim will believe that there's a guy with two right arms in the sky. Hence, they're all part of the Greek kingdom, because within the Greek kingdom, you will find the three major religions. You will find yourself an Orthodox Jew, an Orthodox Christian, and an Orthodox Muslim, all with half of stories. And none of them refer to the God of Israel as being from Ethiopia. In other words, they rather you worship carved images or their synagogue of Satan. Anything except the truth. So let's watch.
Gospel of Matthew 7:21. Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven, but only the one who does the will of my Father who is in heaven. They read this in Catholic Church.
So they're worshiping Christ, praying to Christ, but he's saying, no, what the Father says.
I'm looking around like, did anyone hear what he just said?
Hello, did anyone of y'all read? So what does it say? My ordinances and my commandments, and they my festivals of my covenant, my Sabbath. Hence they will change all of it. And I shall send witnesses unto them, and I will hide my face from them. In other words, he will be among us and then hide his face from among us. Why? Because he's the living God. And they will forget all my law and all my commandments and my Sabbath. So my sanctuary is in their midst, and I will dwell with them, and I will be their God, and they shall be my people. In other words, God is a living God who is dwelling among us. And Moses fell on his face and said, O Lord my God, do not forsake thy people and thy inheritance, and do not deliver them in the hands of their enemies, the Gentiles, lest they should rule over them and cause them to sin against thee. Hence, the Tewahedo church is literally causing people in Ethiopia to go against the God of Israel. They rather you worship a white Jesus painting, or a tan Jesus painting, or a black Jesus painting. They're all the same. It's just a depiction of someone that they never met. Just think about it logically. Did Da Vinci or Michelangelo ever see the Jesus that they're painting? Or is that a depiction from their own imagination of who they think their Christ should be? So thy inheritance which thou hast delivered with thy great power from the hands of the Egyptians. Hence the Egyptian Abuna is literally in Ethiopia. And I will cleanse them so they shall not turn away from me from that day on to eternity. And they all shall be called children of the living God. In other words, God is a living God who becomes king and will hide his face from a wicked generation. And Zion and Jerusalem shall be holy. In other words, the king of Mount Zion is in Ethiopia. And Jerusalem, where they are now, is not in the land of Ethiopia, but it used to be, because the entire region from Egypt to India used to be called Ethiopia. But we all know Zion is Ethiopian. How we didn't know this? Listen. Now, who is the king of Zion? Remember, he just said the king of Mount Zion.
He became emperor on November 2nd, 1930, and was crowned Haile Selassie I, King of Kings, King of Zion, conquering lion of the seed of Judah, power of the Trinity.
Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, God himself as himself. Yet still, these people want to add in their pagan stuff to Ethiopia. Hence, they keep adding in stuff to Ethiopia. Watch.
Jewish community have maintained a tradition of Judaism so ancient and so distinct from every other Jewish community on earth that scholars still cannot fully account for how it got there. They arrived before the Talmud existed, before the Rabbinic Judaism as we know it was formed, carrying something from a layer of tradition that the rest of the world lost. Then there is the claim that has never been disproved. The Ark of the Covenant, the most sacred object in the whole Hebrew tradition, is...
Hello, in the beginning was the Word, and it was not Hebrew. Why? Are ye not as the children of Ethiopians unto me, O children of Israel? Hence we are Israelites. We are not Jews. Follow God, not man.